There we go. All right, so as soon as you log into Dotloop, this is going to be the main screen that you see. Each one of these squares is going to be a loop. A loop is 1/2 of one transaction. So you're representing a buyer, you're going to create a loop. That loop's going to be 1/2 of the transaction. Sometimes you will be double ending a deal. It's pretty rare, but when you do, you're going to have to create 2 separate loops, one for each side of the transaction. So in this main screen, there's a few different things you can do. There's 3 different views you can change to. So you click this button. You hit list view. This is what that looks like. You can go compact view. You can also sort by various criteria by clicking this button. And then you can also filter by this button. You know, eventually, once you guys have a ton of transactions, if you're new, you're going to have to be able to filter and sort all these different transactions to be able to get to the ones you're interested in. Also, you can never delete a loop. Keep that in mind. You can archive loops. And even then, when the loop becomes archived, you can just change your filter here to show only archived. And then you can see all the ones that you try to delete. All right, so now these buttons across the top, it says reporting here. We're going to click into that. So inside reporting is going to show you some basic sales information about the transactions that you have done. Keep in mind that these numbers aren't always going to be correct. For instance, you're going to create a loop someday with a buyer. For whatever reason, that buyer is going to decide not to buy, and you're going to forget to delete the loop. It's no big deal, but you know, that just kind of lends itself to why a lot of these numbers aren't exact, but they will be pretty close. You can also change up here the time frame that you're looking at. You can go year to date or last 60, 30, or 90 days. This next button up at the top, loops, that takes us back to our main screen. This button at the top here that says tasks. So we'll click into that. I'll go a little bit deeper into tasks once we create a loop, but basically tasks get assigned to you based on the type of loop that you've created. So if you create a buy-side loop, it's going to assign some buy-side tasks to you. Keep in mind, these are just a tool for you to use. If you don't, you know, check each one of these boxes as you go, your file will still get approved, you'll still get paid. So file compliance doesn't really look at the tasks. One cool thing about the tasks, so if you're working with another agent on a deal, you can actually assign these tasks to different people within the transaction, and you can actually put a due date on there as well. So an example of where this would be pretty helpful, you know, as an agent, I'm always panicking that I'm coming close to a contingency date. So for like an inspection contingency, every day I panic at least once that I'm getting close to that date and I'm forgetting something. So if you put due dates on all that stuff and you make your inspection contingency one of these tasks, it's going to start reminding you as you get closer to it. Any questions so far? Everything makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Next section up here at the top, this says people. So once you click into that, mine's got 3 different lists of people because I've got an administrator account. You guys will have 2 different lists. So the first list, this is going to be your trusted service providers. So if you've got a favorite escrow title person or inspector that you like to use, it's always a good idea to add them into your trusted service providers. And you'll see it a little better once we go into a loop, but pretty much you can, from within the loop, click on any one of these trusted service providers. And so if it's an escrow title person, you can just click on their name and open escrow directly from the loop. What it'll do is it'll send them an invitation into the loop, and then they can join the loop and access all the documents they need to open escrow. And you can do the same thing with home warranty, mortgage, home inspection, insurance, attorneys, any one of these. This next roster of people that you're going to see here. So these are your contacts. Anybody that you add to a loop ever is going to show up in this list. Everybody in this list. So if you need to go back and look at a client that you dealt with maybe a year or 2 years ago or something, they're all going to be listed here. So you should be able to just go right in here and get their contact info and do another deal with them. All right, this next button at the top, this is templates. And I will say you guys won't be doing very much stuff in here. This is more back-end administrator stuff where we put together the templates for the various types of transactions you'll be doing. But there is one thing I want you to pay extra attention to. So this folder that says RSAR interactive forms. I believe in Ohio, in Toledo, it's going to say NEO, interactive forms, Northeast Ohio. So every single branch in their Dotloop has one of these folders, and this folder is actually managed by your local association. It's important to know where this folder is because that's where all of your blank documents are going to be. So if you need to add a blank document like an addendum or a counteroffer or something like that to a transaction, when you go click add document, it's going to take you to this screen with all these different folders. You just want to look for this folder right here. And then once you click it, a window is going to pop up and ask you to sign in. So it's going to ask for a number and your last name. The number that's required is called your NERDS number. And what that is, it's your National Association of Realtors number. It's very easy to look up if you need to find it. And I'll show you guys how to look that up real quick. You actually just Google NERDS number lookup and click find your NERDS ID. Are you guys still able to see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So once you go in here, you could just put in your last name and your email address, and it'll tell you what that number is.
Now that's not our license number, is it?
No, it'll be a different number.
Oh,
And I don't actually have a number because I'm not a member of National Association of Realtors right now. This number right here, though, because I'm a secretary, falls under, it's going to be my broker's number. But each of you, because you're agents, you'll have an actual NERDS number that you'll use. And this is it right here. Mine is 630007944. Cool. So that's pretty much the only thing you're ever going to access from the templates folder. This next button over here, so this is how we get to our account information. If you kind of hover over it, you can see it's got your name, your member ID, and then my account. So we're going to click on my account. So one thing you always want to do is once you get in here, completely fill out your profile. The reason is because once you start filling out documents and you start working on transactions, now that Dotloop has got this information right here, it'll apply that to every one of your documents every time. So, and you'll notice that's kind of the theme with working with Dotloop. It's going to ask you for a lot of information. At any opportunity that you can, give Dotloop as much information as you've got, because that's going to save you a bunch of time when it comes to filling out documents. So there's your profile. If you are a Zillow Premier agent, you can link your account here by clicking this button. Some more contact info stuff here. And then I recommend everybody go through the settings, look at your document preferences. This is where you can change your font size, your font type, all that stuff. You can also change the types of notifications that you're going to get for every transaction. So you can set it up so that you're going to get a push notification on the app, an email, and a text message every time something happens within a transaction. So if somebody invites you to a transaction, you can set it up so that you get a text message when that happens. Or whenever one of your clients signs a document that you've invited them to, you can set it up to text you when that happens. So yeah, some cool stuff there. All right, so next step, we're gonna actually go in, we're gonna create a buy-side transaction and we're gonna write an offer. So first, and I should have done this before we started, I'm gonna pull up an actual listing here in our market. I wanna show you, we can actually link our loop to a real listing, and that's going to take all the information from the listing and apply it to our documents.
so it can be connected to the MLS.
Yep, definitely.
Mm.
And so all that strange information like parcel numbers, and tax ID numbers, and plat numbers and all that stuff, that's automatically going to come over from the listing if we link it correctly. And there is kind of a trick to doing it. All right, there we go. We've got some listings. All right, we're going to practice on 105 Pebble. All right, so now that we're in Dotloop, this is When you're ready to get started and create a loop, go ahead and click this blue button that says Add Loop. And then start typing in the address here, and you'll notice that it's going to start trying to autofill the address. It's going to look for other addresses using Google search results all over the country. They may even come up with some other addresses in other parts of the country. So I just typed in 105, and this listing in Nashville, Tennessee popped up. All right, that one didn't come up. It must be pending. So we're going to try this one, 812 Terrace Street. Nope. There we go. So once you start typing it in, you notice it autofills, and then it shows Northern Nevada Regional MLS number. Again, in Ohio or the different areas that you guys are in, it'll say your local MLS. But as soon as it's identified the correct listing, which it has, so 1900 Vicenza Drive, it's got the listing agent, the price, and it shows the MLS that I was looking at. As soon as it's identified it, go ahead and click that. And it's going to say, would you like to save time by importing the listing details from the Northern Nevada Regional MLS? The answer is yes, we definitely want to do that. So once you've done that, you can hit continue. Next step, this is kind of a critical piece. We need to select the correct template for the type of transaction we're doing. So whether you're doing commercial, multifamily, vacant land, residential, there's templates for all these things. And also I want to add, once you get going, if there's a template that you'd like created for yourself or you want things done a certain way, we can certainly do that for you. You just got to let us know. So, all right, for today, we're going to select buyer's residential buyer template. Hit continue. Now it's going to ask you to upload a photo. You don't have to do this. Most of the time, it's going to bring it through from the MLS anyways. So you just hit done. It'll say creating loop. And then we're going to go ahead and view the loop. All right, so here's the loop we've created. We'll just go over the different parts of the loop real quick. So right here, this is our address. You can change this. You can change this address if you need to. It won't take the linking away. So for buyers, a good plan generally is to go in, put in the address you're writing the offer on. If the offer doesn't get accepted, you can stay on the same loop because it's already going to have your clients in the loop. You can just change the address and relink it to a new listing. Does that make sense? So that way you're not creating a new loop for every single offer you write for one single buyer.
So if we change the address, how does it create a new, how does it link to the MLS for the new address?
Yeah. So you just change the address, and then I believe you go to view details. This is the place to do it. I haven't done this in a while, but it's in the view details section where you actually do the linking. I believe it's up here. So you come up here, loop name, use property address or use custom name. Nope, that's not it. You know what, Sonia? I'm completely drawing a blank on that one right now. Usually it's in this view details section, I thought. But let me think about it and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Should be in here somewhere. While I'm in view details section though, let me talk about this real quick. So view details is going to have all the information on the transaction from start to finish. Everything that you fill in here is going to be applied to all of your documents. So a good place to start in a transaction and creating a loop is right here. This is the best place to start because then you can put in all the information that you've got, and it's going to apply that to the documents as you go. So it's a good place to start. And then Sonia, right here, I think this is where we want to be. It says you are linked to a listing. I believe if we go here and we start changing the address, this linking is going to go away. Oh yeah, and I think we can put in a new MLS number right here. So actually, let's test that real quick. We'll switch to this one. 21001504A. Let's see if that did it. Well, it saved the MLS number, but it didn't change the link.
It didn't change the.
No, there is definitely a way to do it though. So let me get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Cool. All right, and then once you're done in here filling everything out, you just hit the save button. Remember with Dotloop, you never want to hit the back button on the browser. You always want to hit the back button that's within Dotloop. And the reason is because if you have unsaved changes on a certain screen, hitting the back button on the browser is not going to remind you to, hey, save your documents. But if you do hit back on the Dotloop, it will tell you, hey, you forgot to save your changes. Do you want to save those now? Cool. All right. So each of these line items here, these are going to be the documents within the loop. These documents are organized in a certain way where this first folder, these are all the documents that are required no matter what. So everything on this list is going to have to be completed for every single loop. This next section, these are documents that are required, but usually not right away. So these will be things like an exit form, walkthrough, notice of required repairs, stuff like that. And then this section on the bottom, this is if applicable. So these are only going to be required in certain situations. I know here in Nevada, lead-based paint addendum is something that we don't use very often because most things are a little bit newer. But I know on the East Coast, everything is older than 1978 for the most part. So.
Thanks.
Well, it's not a bad thing. You guys have way nicer stuff. Ours are like all track homes. All right, next section, this is local service providers. So these are that same section in the people's area where you can put in your favorite vendors. So let's say we wanted to open escrow right now. You just click this escrow title button, click on the escrow title person that you'd like to use, and then this message box here say, hey, Lori, please open escrow at your earliest convenience. And then you just click request info. It's going to invite that title person into the loop, and then they can access what they need to open escrow.
Okay.
And again, same with other home services like home warranty, home inspection, and mortgage. Next section down here, this is the people section. So this is everybody that's party to the transaction. The people that are automatically added no matter what, going to be admin for Reno office, the Kirch auditor, and admin for Kirch Realty Corp. These are all folks that work here in the office that I'm in that are going to help with transactions, or they could be the auditor that's going to go in and approve your file at the end and make sure you get paid. This person that got added automatically, so that's the listing agent. And because we linked it to a listing in the MLS, it brought her contact info over as well. So that's why she's there now. Sonia, can we use you as the buyer today?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put your name and email in here. I just need an email address that's different from your Kirch Realty email.
Okay, it's my last name, first name at gmail.com.
All right, did I get that right there on the screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so when you're adding a person to Dotloop, this is a critical part here. We need to always put a name, email address, and you need to define the role that the person is in. By making Sonia a buyer, it's going to put her name in all the correct spots on all of the documents. So all that mapping is going to be there, so you don't have to do any of it. So as soon as I selected the role buyer, this popped open and asked for additional information. So I'm just going to scribble a bunch of info in here so that you guys can kind of see where all this stuff is going in the documents. So I know it's kind of messy, but you guys will see where all these scribbles go in a minute. Cool. All right, we added Sonia. Now I'm going to add myself as the buying agent. Now, you guys keep in mind, when you go to add yourself, it's going to automatically make you either the buying agent or the listing agent based on the type of template that you're using. So you won't have to do this step. You'll already be added. Just like before, I'm going to just put bunch of scribbles here. Perfect. Cool. So now we've got everybody we need to add at this point. We've got one buyer and we've got one buying agent. We'll start working on the documents next, but first, just want to show you this last part. These are the tasks. So remember we had talked about the tasks earlier in the training. These are the tasks that are specific to this loop. So you can take these, you can add new ones, you can assign them to people, you can put due dates on them, and then you just check the boxes as you complete them. Cool. All right, now we'll start working on documents. I was going to do a duties owed document, which is a buyer's disclosure. Oh yeah, it's right here. So this duties owed form, the equivalent in Ohio is going to be your agency agreement. So this is the document that's defining the agency relationship between you and your client.
Mhm.
So we'll start with this one. So as soon as I click the document name, first window that popped up is this autofill window. Now this autofill window is what's going to take the information that Dotloop has and apply it to the correct places within the document. So to work with the autofill, the most important part, this is critical part here, you need to define each of these roles. So buyer number one, that's Sonia. Buyer two, since we don't have one, we need to select no one. Buying agent's me, and buying broker, that would normally auto-populate to whoever your broker is. For this training, I'm just going to put no one because I don't have Kyle Kirsch added in at this point. Once everything looks good here, go ahead and hit the autofill button. And it's going to apply all the information that Dotloop has to the document. So you can see now all those scribbles that I had put in the people section, now apply them to this document. So order of operations here, you let autofill kind of complete what it can complete, and then all you have to do is go back through and finish the document off. So I've got my name here, license number, we've got our buyer, check the box for buyer, additional licensees, no. Now down here in Nevada, this is the document also where we can get the client to consent to letting us be a dual agent or not. With stuff like this, where it's an initial, all you have to do is kind of hover over it, and you can click it and drag these wherever you like to. To get rid of something, all you have to do is select it and then click this X up at the top. You guys see these little controls here? So you hit X, and it's going to delete. If you need to add initials or signatures, you can just come up here to the top where it says add. Oops. So I'm going to add some more signatures. I can stick a date right here. You can do check boxes. Now, one thing I want to show you real quick, you can do radio buttons. And what Dotloop's automatically going to do is when you assign fields to a person, it's going to require that they fill out or check or complete every one of those fields unless you group them together. So do you guys see how I've added these 3 check boxes right here?
Yeah.
Now at this moment, if I were to assign all 3 of these check boxes to Sonia, it's going to require that you check every one of them. But we don't necessarily want that every time if we're giving them a decision, right? So what we do, you just draw a box around all 3. And now that they're all selected, you come up to these 4 squares at the top, and this will group them together. So by doing that, it makes it so that the requirement is to check one of the boxes, not all 3. Now you can see as I click them, it'll only allow one of them to be selected. And then if you want to ungroup something, just click them again, hit the 4 squares again. Or if you want to delete something, you can highlight all of them and hit this X up at the top. That kind of makes sense to everybody?
And what is those for? What is those checkbox for?
So there's a spot on the offer, for example, where the client gets to decide if they are willing to give up their earnest money deposit or if they're willing to go to court and get sued for liquid damages. And they've got to check either one box or the other. You can't check both of them. But Dotloop, being a computer, it only knows to, hey, okay, we've assigned these boxes to Sonia, so she's got to like sign or fill out every one of these boxes to complete the whole signing.
Okay.
But in situations where we're giving them a choice, they need to select options A, B, or C.
Okay.
We want to group those together so that only one of them can be checked, and that satisfies the system for the signing. So you don't have to check all three. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep. Got it.
And then also you guys can add pretty much anything else. So up here you can do signature, initials, text, date, name, checkbox. The radio buttons, those are the buttons that we can group together and give them a choice, like multiple choice. And then you can add a strike through as well. Now keep in mind, you never want to, so you can back out of here if you want to. It's not going to save the changes. You always need to hit the save button. Now, if this was the only document that we were sending out for signatures, we could go ahead and hit this save and share, and that would send that out. But since we're doing multiple documents, we want to have all the documents on just one signing. So we're going to just save it for now and back out. If I were to send this now and then send another document, client's going to be getting multiple emails and multiple invitations to sign docs, and it can be kind of confusing. So we want to put all those documents on just one signing. All right, now that our duties owed document is complete, we're going to go into an offer and acceptance. So step one, go ahead and click the title of the document to open it. Now, first thing you're going to notice, this autofill window is much larger. So we're dealing with a much bigger document. There's a lot more information that needs to be filled out. But just like before, first thing we're going to do is we're going to define each of these roles that exist on the contract. So buyer number one, that's going to be Sonia. Buyer two, we want to select no one. Same with buyer three and buyer four. Seller number one. So I always skip seller. And the reason is we never know how seller's taking title. We could go look at the assessor's page and get seller's information if we wanted to, right? But maybe it's a husband and wife, and it's their individuals owning their current property, but maybe the way that they're taking title or passing title along is from a trust. And that's just going to be something you'd have to go back and fix later if you put the wrong name in there. So I always like to just complete my side's information, leave the seller side alone, and let the listing agent handle that. Buying agent, that's going to be myself. Listing agent, Taylor, so we can leave her in there. Buying broker number one, we're going to put no one, but generally that would autofill to whoever your broker is. Once that's done, all you have to do is go back down. You can start filling out all these details here. So purchase price, let's say we're going to offer $550. Commission split in dollars on the buy side. I don't have a calculator on me, but let's just say it's going to be about 12,000. The percentage on the buy side, let's say 2.5%. Earnest money 5,000. Earnest money held by Title One. Closing date will close on December 1st. Offer expiration date is going to be 2 days from now, so we'll put 10/14. Property includes washer, dryer, and stove. And by the way, I'm just making this stuff up. Obviously, you guys will be doing different things on the offers that you're writing. Property excludes the above ground pool. Now you can see all the scribbles that I had put in the people section. They're all still here. Listing agent stuff is there. So once you've completed the autofill window, go ahead and click the autofill button. It's going to take all the information available and apply it to the document. So again, all you really have to do is go back through and fill in all the boxes and the fields that have been missed. Anybody have any questions on that so far? I know I kind of breezed through a bunch of stuff pretty quickly. All right. So yeah, once the autofill's done its thing, you want to go through the document, get everything filled out. Now it's doing something kind of funky. So it's got SC for Sonia assigned to this field, but these fields have not been assigned. So you'll notice it says can be signed by buyer Sonia Callens, but it's not been assigned to her. It's been assigned to the role that she's in. So that's another thing is you want to go through and make sure everything's assigned. Normally autofill does a good job. I'm not sure what's going on today, but we'll fix that right now. So loan contingency, let's say we're going to include that. I'm going to get rid of these extra fields that we don't need. So again, just highlight, click the X up at the top. Now this field we need to assign to Sonia. So I'm going to click it See how the letters are green, so it's been selected. Then I can just come over here to the drop down and select Sonia. And now it's switched to her initials. So I'm going to do the rest of these real quick. These look good. Also, any additional buyers fields that exist there. So, let's say you're doing the same thing. You've only got one buyer. Don't worry about the other field that just says buyer. Those will actually disappear on the final draft if nobody has signed them. Cool. So we're going through, filling out the document. Everything looks good. And yeah, so Sonia, this would be a good example of where we would only want someone to check one section. So pest inspection, we can either include it, waive, or not applicable. And I believe, notice how I click included and then waived in NA. Bolded is because these are grouped together like this, so that when you click one, the requirement for those fields has been satisfied.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, another thing that you can do as well, so additional terms and conditions. Generally, when you write an offer, you're going to be writing that offer after having spoken extensively to your clients, asking them all the information, all the questions that exist on the offer, and getting all of those answers. One deal here, additional terms and conditions. So maybe you have a husband and wife that are thinking about asking for the furniture, but they're not sure yet. They need to think about it. Fields like these, you can actually assign to your clients as well. So we can take this whole chunk here, assign this to Sonia. And so let's say we sat down, we wrote the offer, but Sonia didn't know at that moment if she wanted to keep a certain piece of furniture or ask for a swimming pool or something like that. So we can actually assign this to Sonia and say, okay, you think about it. I'll write the offer. I'll send it to you. And then when you're ready, if you do want a piece of furniture, just put it in the additional terms and conditions. And by assigning these fields to her, she'll now be able to go in there and add whatever she'd like to.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So go through the document, make sure everything's complete. Once you're satisfied by all this, next step, all you want to do is hit save. Oh, and real quick, anything that's been autofilled gets highlighted yellow, just like all this stuff. So that'll kind of be a tip off for you as well as you're going. If something's highlighted yellow, it means the system autofilled it. But when you're done, go ahead and hit the save button. Again, if this was the only document you were sending, you could go straight to the save and share button right here. But since we've got multiple documents, we're just going to back out by hitting this back button. All right, so we've got 2 documents filled out, and now we're ready to send them out to our client. So all you really have to do is check the boxes next to the documents you want to send out for signatures. And then come up here, hit the share button right here. So as soon as you hit that, it opens up the share documents window, and then you check the boxes next to the names of the people that you'd like to send the documents out to. Now, for someone to be able to sign a document, they have to have signature or initial fields assigned to them. If nothing's been assigned to a particular person, it'll give a big error and so you can't send it out because nothing's been assigned. So if I tried to send this to the Kirch auditor right now and say, can sign, and hit share, it's going to give a bunch of errors. So that's not going to work. We want to make sure we're sending only to people who have fields assigned. And you can see it says it right here, who all has fields assigned. So for now, we're just going to send it to Sonia. She's got 29 fields assigned. And now this is a critical thing. We need to make sure we're selecting the correct permissions for the signing for this person. So there's 4 different options. There's view only. View only means that Sonia will only be able to download, print, or save the document. But that's it. Can sign means that they can sign or edit fields that have been assigned to them only. Can fill and sign means that they can pretty much fill out and sign anything that they'd like to. And they can also fill out anything that's been assigned to the role that they're in, not just them, but the role. And then can edit in private. This will pretty much break the entire loop and you'll have to start over. So you never want to select that. The best option is can sign. So that means Sonia will be able to go in there and sign or edit only the fields that has been assigned to her. And then that's it. Check the box there, make sure the permissions are correct, and then click share. And then now we'll have sent an invitation to Sonia. It'll say, Michael Hughes has shared documents with you to review right now. Would you like to do that? And then you just have to click the link. Now, something else that's going to happen for sure to everybody at some point, someone that you've sent your invitation to will have an email inbox that's totally full of junk, and they won't be able to see new emails coming in, and they're going to lose your invitation. All you have to do is come here to this button right here, reshare and more options. And then you can select the name of the person that lost the invitation to sign, and then you can actually resend the invitation.
Oh, okay.
Say, hey, clean up your inbox. Don't lose this one. You don't say that, but type a message there and say, hey, here's another invitation. Let me know if you get it. And then you just hit the reshare button. So now Sonia is going to have 2 invitations to sign in her inbox. Cool. All right. So we've just got a couple more things to talk about, but do you guys have any questions on all of that stuff so far?
Nope. Not me.
Awesome. How about you, Derek? Are you still
I might
there?
have one, Michael.
Okay. Hi, Leslie.
Derek can go though if he has one too.
No, I don't have no question. I'm following right along with.
Oh, what a cutie.
Is that a baby?
That's
Oh,
so
Yeah,
that's
this
sweet.
my
That's
little
the-
niece.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, how adorable.
That's your baby?
No, this is my niece. I don't have no kids yet.
Oh, you don't?
Well, you probably should have a few. You look pretty comfortable there.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You're on babysitting duty?
Yeah, she making her something to eat, so I'm holding her while she get done.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
That's good. She's sleep. Look at her.
He's
Oh.
adorable.
Thank
Mhm.
Awesome. Leslie, you've got the Golden Gate Bridge on your face.
You're kidding. I've
Yeah.
been trying to get a background for months and now I've got it over my face.
The background is only on you. It's not on the background.
I don't have no idea what I hit on that one. Dang technology.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll try and deal with that later. My question is, I use Dotloop at this point purely for like auditing purposes.
Uh-huh.
When I'm done with the transaction, what's the advantages to using Dotloop, in your opinion, as to transaction desk, which is what I've always used through the MLS?
So in every way, Dotloop works a little bit better than Transaction Desk, except for one thing. You know the big MLS input form that you've got to fill out for every listing?
Yeah.
So Transaction Desk has that button that says upload listing, where you can upload the MLS input form straight to the MLS.
Right.
So that's the one thing Dotloop can't do, and it's kind of a bummer. So if you want to, if you decide to move over to Dotloop and you still want to use that functionality in Transaction Desk, I totally get it. But Dotloop, it has a huge advantage because number one, it's going to collect all this information as it goes. It's going to autofill a lot of the documents for you. It's able to link to actual listings. I think Transaction Desk might be able to do that too, though. But the cool thing is it's meant to kind of manage the transaction as you go so that when things close, the file's basically complete. You don't really have to do anything else,
Okay. So it's more efficient operation.
Yeah, definitely. It's really efficient. And then there's other cool things too, that this is the actual big advantage that I want to get to right now. So when adding documents to, lost it. When adding documents into Dotloop, there's 3 different ways to do it. You can either add a document from a template. So that's the way that I had showed you guys earlier, where you have to select that special folder and you can add the blank document. You can pull it up from your computer right here by hitting browse.
Mhm.
It'll open up your file explorer and then you can select it there. But the best way, and one of the coolest ways is, so if you click this email button, it's going to give you an email address that is only for this loop. And then any documents that you send to this email address will go directly into your loop. So kind of the hack here is give this email address to your title and escrow officer. Ask them to, if they have any documents that need to go to you or your client for signatures, or even the entire closing package, to just send it to this email address. And then it's automatically going to go straight into the loop. So that's
Okay.
kind of another cool feature that Dotloop has.
And then you guys don't like, so every, audit might be a little bit different, but you don't highlight, like, I guess you do on the left, it says optional. Those are the documents you don't necessarily need in there. But everything else you would need for an audit.
See, all right, so these, where it says optional over here on the left, a lot of these aren't actually optional. What that just means is, so do you see this button up top here where it says submit for review?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when it says required over here on the left, it's a problem because, so let's say you have an offer over, let's say you're a listing agent, you've got a listing and you receive an offer, but the actual offer line item within your loop says required. It requires you to fill out that document, not any document. It's got to be that document. So that's why we've made everything optional, is because Dotloop, because you're never actually going to fill out that particular offer as a listing agent. You're going to fill out whatever offer they send to you. And so
Okay.
that would not satisfy the requirement if we made everything required. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why these all say optional, but they're not optional. You have to do it.
Okay.
But but the point is, if you bring in another offer that's not this particular offer, it'll still work. And then, yeah, the other advantage to using Dotloop is this is what we use. And as soon as everything goes into here, we can get you paid within about 8 hours. So, and then all you have to do is hit this button, submit for review. And then also you've got a direct line to your auditor here too. So if you click notes, you can go into auditor, send a note here and say, hey, Lindsay, clients waived additional inspections, but I don't have the addendum signed yet. And then you just hit send and it's going to go straight to the auditor, and then they know they can go in there and audit it, and they'll just wait for that one missing document or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to show you guys for today. Do you guys have any questions about anything?
Mm.
Oh, what
What's
if
the
somebody want like physical copies? We could always print off each document, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's a cool place where you can do that. So if I come up here to these documents and I go to send them to my client again, actually, let's do a fresh document. So I'm going to go to this here. I hit the share button. Now, let's say I want to send it to Sonia as an invitation to sign, but I also want her to get the actual PDF file. I just have to check this box here on the bottom.
Okay.
So if I check that box, it's going to invite Sonia into the signing, but then it's also going to attach the document that we're having her sign to the signing invitation. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that way she's got a copy of it just in case something goes wrong with the signing invitation and she wants to just print it out and sign it by hand.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, guys. So I'm going to stick around for a little while longer and try to figure out this issue that we had at the beginning with changing the linking.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll be here for a while longer too. If you guys have any other questions, we can certainly cover just about anything else you guys want.
Thanks,
Okay.
Michael.
Yeah, that was simple.
Appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
See you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
How do I get out?
Should just be, I don't know, kind of hover over it and there'll be a big red button that says leave.
What is that? No.
Sorry, son, you can't leave. You're stuck here.
I see you are viewing. Okay, view options. Exit